Hello and welcome to our first ever Look Back live show. As you can see, we are here at sunny Priestfield Stadium after yesterday's 1-0 win over Crawley Town. The Brad Gallison train just keeps steaming on, doesn't it? As Neil Harris's men walked away with all 3 points, as captain Sean Williams sent that Raynham into raptures and sent 9,500 Gills fans home happy. This afternoon, we're going to talk all things Gillingham. Join us for the next. Hello, welcome back to the ME7 Look Back Live podcast. As you can see, next to me is my co-host Owen Stanley, and joined by Luke Tedgen and Matt Olsen. Boys, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What a venue! What a venue to come and do our first ever Look Back Live.
It's not bad, is it? You know, especially we were just saying before we went live, there's 9,500 out here on this glorious Priestfield yesterday, and now we've all got it to ourselves. It's quite a surreal moment to be doing a podcast like this. It's very good.
Luke, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you after yesterday?
Brilliant. I say, coming back to Priestfield yesterday with 9,500 people here was bringing back since kind of memories from when I was a kid. But great for the community, great for the team, and another 3 points.
Yeah, Matt, and you?
Yeah, great. It was an amazing day yesterday. I came with my dad, who hasn't been to a Gills game in absolutely forever. Just what an experience. He thoroughly enjoyed it and just couldn't stop talking about it all evening, which was great. Yeah, we've got our club back.
Yeah, we have got our club back. Yeah, we're obviously going to talk about yesterday's win then. First off, we made quite hard work of it, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I think we've seen in the past, haven't we, where we have big crowds come to Priestfield. It's not always the glamorous football that we'd perhaps expect it to be in terms of having a massive crowd and hoping that equates to a wonderful performance on the pitch. First half, I know we're all sure. We can look back now after the win and think, we were a bit lucky perhaps in that first half that Crawley weren't able to press home the advantage in terms of the chances that they created in the first half. It was quite tough for us to maintain any sort of attacking fluidity to our play. We were pushed back quite a lot. Neil Harris alluded to that in his post-match interview, saying the gap between the strikers and the centre-halves was far too big, and we spent quite a lot of the first period on the edge of our box, which was quite reminiscent of the second half last week against Swindon Town. So in that sense, we can count ourselves a bit lucky in the first half that we didn't end up falling behind. But at the same time, we missed a great chance through Dom Jeffrey. So a lot of people watching as a neutral probably thinking that game 0-0 at half time, it could well have been 4-4 really. But such is the way of the game in that first half.
Luke, agree with that?
Yeah, I think obviously, the first half, the last 20-25 minutes, we was definitely under the cosh. Obviously, my tweet at half time went out like an absolute lead balloon and sitting there eating my words a little bit. But yeah, we were lucky not to be kind of 1-0, 2-0 down. But then obviously on the other side of the pitch, Dom Jeffries missed an absolute sitter as well. So yeah, completely agree with everything you've said there. But yeah, it was a game of two halves, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah, but second half, we came out like an absolute steam drain, didn't we? We pinned Crawley back, and it must have been Neil Harris's words, because they come up absolute firing at Crawley.
Absolutely, he said in his post-match interview he didn't go in and shout and rant and rave at them, but he did give them some home truths, and I really think because of Glenn Morris, that's the reason why we went in 0-0 at half time. Big shout out to him. I think he pulled off a couple of really big saves. There was a couple of times in that first 3 minutes, they should have scored. And the Dom Jeffries chance was unfortunate. Had it fallen to Tom Nichols, you could have put your house on it. But Dom Jeffries, obviously, unfortunately, he's put it wide. But that second half, something snapped, obviously, at half time with these players, and we saw true quality. And I generally believe, if we played like that from the first half, then we wouldn't have just won 1-0. It would have been a lot more.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, obviously, not many times do we see this place full. But it was excellent to see yesterday, wasn't it? Such a big crowd supporting the team.
Yeah, we were talking in the week, weren't we, about the initiative that Brad and Shannon have put on, the Pay What You Like offer, and the benefits that it has for a club like this, and building that gap, or lowering the gap between the club and the community in terms of bringing a whole new generation of Gillingham fans in. There'll be people, I'm sure, who were here yesterday, kids who've never been to a game here before, maybe not a football game in general, and they've been sent home happy, and hopefully that's a good way of using that initiative to make sure that they come back again, and that's what it's all about. And obviously, when we played the likes of Leicester, you expect a big crowd for that, just for the spectacle that it is of playing a Premier League side when you're in League Two. But these are the games you want people to turn up to consistently and see a reason to come back. I think we did that. There's a lot more in depth for that. For example, the food outlets yesterday, there was a lot more on offer than I've seen in quite a while. Just little things like that all equate towards a bigger goal and a bigger perception of what we can be as a club, with giving people reasons to come back. This obviously, winning the game helps as well. Obviously, I think it would have been a bit more disappointing for all these people who haven't been before had we not got the result yesterday, but we did do that, and it's another sign of something that, given it puts perspective, doesn't it, how long Brad and Shannon have been here and the difference they're making already to, they said in the first interview, I think, that they were really big on community, and they're putting the words to action, and it's coming to good fruition with us for the attendance we got in yesterday, and hopefully, as Neil was saying yesterday as well, it gives people more of a reason to come back, and hopefully the win obviously helps that as well, and we can see these gates a bit more full more consistently for the rest of the season and beyond.
Yeah, I was when I was walking out the ground yesterday, the amount of people I sort of heard around me that said, yeah, did you enjoy that? Oh, do you want to come back next week or whenever the next home game is? And they were like, yeah, we'll come back. And that's what it's all about, isn't it, Luke? That not only is the football right on the pitch, it's the whole sort of match day experience, isn't it? Is that has to be right sort of off it to entice people back into the football club.
Yeah, and I think we seem a million miles away from the out of date lager that we experienced at the beginning of the season. So, what really got to me was the amount of kids that were here yesterday. You know, there was, I think Fish tweeted out earlier on this morning as well, the sheer number of kids that they're the next generation of fans, and if they're kind of getting their parents, and it's all about cost, obviously. Like, let's say, it's a cost-saving exercise for families to come, but you enjoy the game, you've got a good match day experience. You're going to continue to come in and, let's say, for a family of four, what's it going to cost? 60, 80 quid plus your drinks, plus your food. It's a big expense, and I think that's something that the Gallantons have said. What Owen just said about all about the community. They know we're going through a cost of living crisis, and they've done everyone in not just in Gillingham, in Medway, the favour to come and watch their team. Yeah,
absolutely. It's not only about that as well. It's about the community as a whole, isn't it? Is that obviously Brad mentioned about the community side of it, and the fact that Kent is such a big catchment area pulled him right into the football club. I think the Gallantons saw the power of it yesterday, wasn't it? Is that certainly that raining meant it was pretty loud.
I mean, we're lucky we're not a city like Manchester or a city like Liverpool that have got two big teams. There is only one real big team in Kent, and that is Gillingham. I'm sorry to anyone that supports any other team.
You're not sorry. You're not sorry.
But there is such an untapped potential, and if you look at at the players that have come from Kent that have gone on to do bigger things. And we're not talking, back in the 80s or the 70s. We're talking recently. Some of the players that have come through, and we've just let them go because we've not had that draw. But yet, I'm starting to feel that the club is getting that draw back. People are wanting to come for the project. George Lapsley is not coming to Gillingham Football Club to sit on the bench. Is he? He's not coming to sit on the bench. But he's obviously come and realised that there's a project here, and it's not just a project that's going to happen out on that football pitch. It's a project that's going to happen within the entire community. Because, I saw a young boy walk into the shop with his dad yesterday at his first game, and his dad walked out with a brand new Gills shirt. And that boy was so happy, and that boy's going to now be a Gills fan, and in 30 years' time he'll be sat here doing a podcast or probably some virtual reality thing that's going to happen. But and that is why ultimately why football clubs exist. It's not because you're bringing through these young fans that are going to give us new joy on the terraces and cheer the future players that are going to grace this pitch. And look, at the end of the day, football clubs will not exist without fans. Football club is about the fans, and you need to engage them and get them all here. And
I think if you saw it at the end of the Rainer Men's after the 90 minutes, when you see Brad and Shannon walking down towards the boardroom, the fans were sitting there singing for 5-10 minutes their name, and they're there waving their scarves. They just get it, don't they? That's the way you can sum up. They get it. Yeah. And it's brilliant.
And look. The easiest thing for any football club to do is go to schools, because go to junior schools, go to primary schools, get schools involved with the football club. I know Gills have got their own school here, but get all the local schools, and then that will start giving you some fans. And look, most young kids when they're growing up, they're going to watch Man United on TV, they're going to watch Liverpool, but the thrill of coming to a live game here at Priestfield Stadium, and especially with the atmosphere yesterday, that's going to hopefully bring them back.
I think Brad and Shannon, they've capitalised on what you said, Matt. I know I don't think you said it as a joke, but we are the biggest and only club in Kent, and that's not like a dig at anyone else. It's just factual. We're the only EFL club, and I think in recent years we've, as a club, not made anywhere near enough of that. People can make the argument we're near London, West Ham, Arsenal, whatever else, but in terms of being the only Football League club in the county, it's quite a bit of an anomaly. That's the one, anomaly really. And it's something that Brad and Shannon have clearly caught on to very quickly, and they're very keen to make the most of that. In recent years we've not really seen it. We've had offers here and there, but it's all sort of been a bit of nothing really, hasn't it? There's never really been that clear intent from the club to the fans to show that we're the only Football League club in this county, and we're going to make something of that, because really still well below our station, I think, in terms of the potential that we have here and we have had here for many years. We've just not really delved into it, and it's been a case of we've sort of been, before the Gaddington era, I've said it a few times, we've sort of been just sort of floating towards obscurity. You know, last season was a real eye-opener for a lot of people, and obviously, you know, no one expected this season to go as it has done up until pre-Gaddington era anyway, and, you know, thankfully we got that sorted and we're beginning to turn it around. But I think it was a bit of an eye-opener, perhaps, Luke, to not just the owners but to fans as well, that seeing the difference they've made, and that makes fans realise again that there is just huge potential at this club, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think if you remember years ago as well, obviously me and Matt got a little bit on you, but when we was at school, just a little bit. I just remember obviously I went to the Howards, and we they used to do the summer school for like 2 weeks. I don't know if they still do that, but you can still see a range of players from 11 to 16 through them sort of routes. But yeah, I think we've definitely missed the trick, especially with like local lads again, like Chris Smalling, Ross Boyds, people like, and it's we've just missed the trick. But I think, as Harris has said, looking to sort of talk about the past and looking to the future, I think you know, main thing now is obviously keeping up in the league, which I'm sure we're going to do. But yeah, them things about the community and stuff like that is only got to be in the locker for them. Like all the kids, all the free tickets they used to give to the schools. I don't know if they're still doing that, but again,
yeah, they are.
Yeah, but if we're still doing that, it gives the adults tickets. But there's so much opportunity. So much opportunity that they can tap into, and they've got, lucky enough, obviously Paul Scally didn't have the finances to do it, but they have, and if they want to lose a little bit like they did on the tickets on Saturday, probably gained it back in hospitality, but they're willing to lose it to gain further fans, which is brilliant.
I mean that is the one thing. I mean, this is a whole completely different subject we could get onto, but obviously with the cost of living crisis, with the fact that most tickets now are 20-25 quid, it is quite expensive, and as you said, it is an expensive day out. And I think the clubs are limited to only doing two promotions a year, and I think that's a shame that they should take that out of the hands, you know, of the Football League, and let the club do whatever they want. Because what's more important, you know, selling out your stadium, or just getting only a quarter of the people turn up because you're charging too much for your tickets? If the tickets were slightly fairer price, and I must say, I think the Gills initiative of the under-14s go free with a paying adult, that does make things a little bit more bearable. So again, hopefully, you know, parents that came yesterday are thinking, yeah, okay, I can go back, just me and my son will go back, or me and my daughter will go back, you know, because it's might only cost me 20 quid, but then she's coming for free. Brilliant. But you know, I do think in terms of you know, the cost of the tickets, they are, you know, quite expensive, and it can become a very expensive habit, football, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to our first little break then. We are obviously this afternoon in partnership with our wonderful friends Block, who have been a media partnership for the football club since the start of the season. They were a media partnership with Crawley Town, but after yesterday, I'm not sure they're going to carry on. Many thanks to Nick, who is currently sat behind the camera, working 2 or 3 cameras by himself, but he's doing a wonderful job. And thanks very much to Nick. So here's an advert for Block.
Clear off, come on, what are you doing?
Give me what I want, give me what I need. Give me what I want you all over me. Give me what I want, give me what I need. Give me what I want you all over me. I want your body, all of my body. Come on, give it to me.
Okay, welcome back to the ME7 podcast, Look Back Live. Yeah, you've just seen all the great things that Priestfield have to offer. Yeah, and if you fancy purchasing any of those things, do contact the football club. Yeah, and also send in your questions. We've had a number of them come in so far, so keep sending them in, and we'll get them read out. And obviously, this wouldn't be happening today without Chris Tiger, who's sponsored this podcast, and he runs Tiger Fire Security. So thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, let's move on to individual performances from yesterday. The goal scorer, Sean Williams.
Yeah, Sean he's come under a lot of criticism this season, sometimes rightly, sometimes wrongly. It was his first goal in 3 years, Neil Harris said yesterday, which is not that surprising, I suppose. But he
has missed a couple of sitters this year as well. So
did mention he's missed a few from set pieces this season, but yeah, it's about being in the right place, right time for Sean yesterday. Obviously, it's great work again from Tom Nichols, as we know, getting that perfect movement, getting himself into the right space. It's actually, if you're called a goalkeeper, you feel a bit disappointed because he actually makes a really good first save from Tom Nichols' his strike. But Sean Williams, being in the right place at the right time, couldn't have an easier goal. He's been quietly getting a lot better in recent games. I think since the Leicester game, I thought he was brilliant. I think he's put in performances where he's gone a little bit under the radar, but he has been making us tick a little bit. I think the first half against Swindon, after we conceded after 30 seconds, I think he controlled the first half of that pretty well. And obviously he gives a lot of experience. He's someone Harris obviously trusts a lot from his Millwall days, and I'm happy for him to be the match winner, because I think it's a moment that he's perhaps deserved over the past month or so. I'm not sure what odds you would have got on him to be the first goal scorer yesterday, but I imagine if you put that on, you're quite wealthy this Sunday afternoon. But yeah, very happy for Sean. I think it's the top performance we saw from him over the past month that we've been looking and waiting for the whole of the season, because, as I did say, he has been criticised here and there this season. I think he didn't perhaps start the first few months as most people expected him to, but I suppose you can level that up really any player we had for the first 6 months, couldn't you? So yeah, positive signs from Sean. Obviously you've got to take in his age as well. He's not getting any younger, but he's providing to be a good steady head in the middle for us, and obviously if he picks up a goal here and there as well, that's also a massive bonus for us.
Yeah, Luke, Owen mentioned about Sean. His performances have suddenly kind of gone like that in sort of a month. Whether that's playing with better players, I don't know, but he seems to have just simplified his game a bit more, rather than holding on to the ball long and take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touches. He's giving the ball, or he's collecting it and just giving it off to the ones that are going to do something.
And I think that's probably key, obviously, when no disrespect to Stewie O'Keefe, but O'Keefe hasn't been firing on all cylinders this season. Obviously, there's more of an issue there that he's not in the matchday squad, but he's got better players around him. I think that's all you want from him, really. It's just to get the ball and pass it on to the better players he's got around him. Do it simple. Again, he's one of them ones that, alongside Max Amar, that we was talking about earlier, he's quietly gone under the radar over the last 3 to 4 weeks. Hasn't been the shining spotlight when you've got the likes of Dom Jeffries and Macca providing the assists. Obviously, his job's completely different to Boston midfield, and he has done that. And like I say, giving the ball simple to the attacking creative players that he's got in front of him.
Yeah, and led the team well, hasn't he? Obviously, he's been made captain in Stuart O'Keefe's. He's just not been around, is he at all? But yeah, he's got experience. He's won promotion. He's won promotion under Harris. But he's led the team well, hasn't he?
He's kind of taken that responsibility, I think, now as he's kind of become the official team leader. You know, no offence to Stuart O'Keefe, because I think he is still technically classed as the club captain, but on the pitch he is that leader. I was watching him in the first half, and I'll be honest, he didn't have the greatest first half yesterday. Not because of he didn't play poorly. It was just Crawley, I think, were right on it yesterday in that first half. But yeah, since Leicester, I don't know, something's obviously clicked in him. He's just got better and better each game, and he's kind of become that initial leader that we want on that pitch. We want, as Gillingham fans, we want that person shouting and telling everyone where to get going, and he has really stepped up. And honestly, I hope it continues, because he's only 36 now, isn't he? I think he's only obviously got maybe a year or two left in him, maybe at this level. So hopefully we're seeing sort of the best of it, just before the day comes he has to retire.
I think this was the first week that I had him starting in my 11. Obviously, him to be replaced to get Lapsley on.
You're desperate to get Lapsley in the team, aren't you?
I am.
But this is the biggest argument: is who can you drop at the moment? Because the four in midfield have been doing so well, and and Macca's been brilliant. I thought yesterday, Macca, and when he was going down, taking the corner, getting the crowd going, and it was brilliant. But yeah, I mean, the leaders in the team, all there are the core few that we all know that have stepped up, have really pushed this Gillingham team along in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, we've got to think of how nice it is that we're having these sort of arguments now, like who to drop out, whereas a few months ago, it'd be like who to keep in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. I think the biggest compliment that Williams, Macca, Dom and Tim Diang need to take is that, one, they're keeping that midfield so solid. Not many teams are breaking through the middle of us. But also they're keeping bloody good players out of the team, aren't they?
Well, I am probably the biggest George Lapsley fan going. I'm still waiting for him to get on and score a goal and do the old shush in front of the rain. I think that'd be a perfect.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, arguably George Lapsley is one of the best players in League Two. And Harris said it in his interview last night, or if not the league above. So to be able to keep a player of that quality, and again, he's got to be on big money, and he costs a bit as well to get in. He's not going to be wanting to sit on the bench. But at a minute, arguably, what anyone's opinion is, you can't drop that midfield. You can't drop anyone in that midfield. I did say Dom Jeffries would have got dropped this week off his performance last week, but looking back, you can't change a winning team.
No, it goes off that saying, isn't it? Is that don't fix it if it's not broken. So obviously the partnership that is in the limelight at the moment, you brought it to the limelight, should we say, is the partnership of Tom Nichols and Ollie Hawkins. We didn't see it come to fruition yesterday as much as we possibly could, but Owen tweeted out last night that it reminded him a bit of Danny Kedwell and Conan McDonald. Do you want to enlighten you on that point?
Yeah. So anyone knows me, Cody McDonald's probably my favourite Jules player of all time. Love him. I think when I look at the sort of things that they offer, I think Cody and Nichols are very similar in the sense of they're very nippy, getting behind quickly. Cody, obviously, you look at his record, he scored more goals than Tom, but I think there's a lot of similarities between them two. They're very good on the ball, they're very quick and can get in behind and make things happen in a more creative sense, whereas I think Hawkins and Kedwell, the opposite, scored more goals than Hawkins. And Hawkins, I think, is a player that people obviously make the mistake quite a lot when they see someone sign a striker. They look at the goal record; it might not be that impressive. They think, "What's the point of us signing him?" But Hawkins is a prime example of someone who you bring in, he might not have the best goal record, but you only have to watch him once to see that he offers a whole lot more than just goals. You know, if it wasn't for him, how many times would we have gone behind and got into great opportunities? You know, the goal Dom Jeffries scored, you get 3 players are straight attracted, Hartlepool players, all try and go out for one ball against Hawkins. He wins that, takes 3 of them out, and then Nichols can play the ball into Jeffries for the goal. So if Hawkins isn't putting himself about in that position, we're probably not getting the goal on that occasion. And you know, with Kedwell, who was very big, used it in a nice way, used his size to his advantage, is very strong, could bully people, could bring others into the game. You know, not to the extent I suppose of Akinfenwa did, because he was just a man mountain, wasn't he? But you know, I think that the similarity there between the two is they can both bring others into the game around them really well. Obviously, Kedwell did score more goals, but it was penalty take as well. You know, give him that. But I think Ollie, although he might not have the goal yet that he's craving, I'm sure he will get it. He does so much to make everything around him tick, and without that, you know, I know a lot of people make the comparison here. Hawkins, from what we've seen so far, is what we really wanted Mika Mandron to be, but that didn't work out. But I think there's a huge stark in quality between the two, and we saw that from, you know, the first 10 minutes or so against Hartlepool, the difference of having someone who can trap the ball, who can keep it down, can use his strength to bring others into play, and the difference it makes. And you know, there's no wonder. I think Hawkins, in an interview after Swindon, he said, Nichols, said that Hawkins was a striker's dream to play alongside, and I think you could see that. Hopefully, obviously, we know he went off yesterday with, well, we don't know what it is yet. It looked like, I think,
a rib
Harry said
injury.
he got hit in the ribs, I think, maybe something like that. But he said he should.
This part,
But he said hopefully it'll be alright for next week. So hopefully it's just a minor one, because you know it'd be a massive loss. But I think he'll go down at the end of the season. Should we stay out, which I think we will. I think when we look back at the signings of January and the difference they made, I think Hawkins, along with Nichols, of course, will be right at the top of that list in terms of making a big impact to keep us out of danger.
I was going to say, he's not going to score you, Ollie Hawkins is not going to score you 20, 25 goals a season, but he'll probably create you something similar, along those lines. And I will say, Tom Nichols yesterday was, I thought, unbelievable. I don't know, obviously he stepped up his game in that second half. That there was a couple of flicks that he made, and it was just his vision was unbelievable, I thought, yesterday. And I'm sort of living in dream world at the moment, because we've got 2 really, really good strikers who have just seemed to click, and ultimately that's what you need your strike force to do. They need to click, and these 2 are going to be wonderful, I think, for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think you two have summed it up pretty well, to be honest. And again, it's Hawkins all-round play. Like, you watch him for the height that he is, and he doesn't just do a flick on or win a flick on. It's his actual accuracy of his headers, the way he brings it down in his chest, and his passing. For somebody of that size, you wouldn't expect that accuracy in a player like that. And the way they just played together, it's like they've been playing for 2-3 years. The chemistry they've managed to build already is brilliant, and it's nice to see we've got, like, obviously where Hawkins went off yesterday, bringing one of the new signings, Aidan O'Brien, who could do a similar job.
Yeah, not bad sub, is it?
No, not bad at all.
No.
So,
I mean, again, that's living in dream world. I wouldn't, at the start of the season, well, sort of 20 games into the season, I would never have thought we'd be bringing on Aidan O'Brien and George Lapsley to try and see us out the win of the game. But the last thing I'll say with Ollie Hawkins is, yesterday I was sat down obviously on the Gordon Road stand, and a couple of balls that got played over towards him. He had 2 or 3 players on him, and he was still getting above them, winning the header. This guy, I think, again, he's going to write his name into Gills folklore.
and for the work he does, it's defending set pieces as well, can't go unnoticed. You've got someone that's an additional centre half when you're defending the set plays.
He can play there,
yeah. So he's a dream to have, especially, I don't know what other strikers can play centre half and up top, but we're hopefully he's right himself in folklore to not just for someone that's under the radar again, that's not scoring all the goals, but has got all that all-round play.
I think one of his best advantages, Hawkins, is even when he's not actually involved in the game to a degree. Like, I think I look back at the goal Nichols scores at Colchester. The reason he scores it really is because you've got 3 players all around Hawkins, just because of his sheer size. It demands more attention towards him, and everyone's thinking, well, if everyone's going to go towards him, that gives an opportunity for Nichols, Amel, Dieng, whoever else is in the box, to make that run around, thinking, well, they're too preoccupied with him, so we're going to go again. I'll mention again the goal against Hartlepool, that 3 players go towards him for that one header, all 3 of them lose out. And Keith Cole, I don't know if any of you listened to his interview after that game, he made a point of that, where you just need to basically let him win the header because you're not going to win it, and then you're in a better position to deal with the second phase. But because of him being able to demand that attention and bring so many players out, it creates so much space for everyone else. And Hawkins wins that header against Hartlepool, Nichols is in a lot of space, and then we all saw how much space Dom Jeffries had to take that shot on, because he pulled everyone away before him. It's just intelligent play. You know, same with Nichols as well. The chance Dom misses yesterday starts with Nichols did a little turn by the byline and then getting the ball into Dieng, which goes into them. So they're not just goal scorers, these two. I know Hawkins hasn't scored a goal yet, but he will be. But their all-round play in terms of just footballing intelligence and the know-how is second to none with what we've had in recent years, I'd say.
I'm absolutely amazed. I don't know anyone else how Tom Nichols is not at a high level. I think he's incredibly clever.
But he's too short.
Yeah, I was going to say he's too short.
Too old.
Yeah, and he's,
but even earlier on in his career, he's always sort of been around bottom half League One, top half League Two, where I've been watching him for the last month, and I just think you are a complete forward. Apart from your height, which may be letting you down, he's so clever. He's just so clever. The amount of times that yesterday he was nipping in front of the centre half, winning it in the corner, winning corners, winning throws, just taking us up the pitch. He was just so clever in the way he was doing that. Yeah, I'm shocked that we've managed to get him.
Even when you see the ball from Sean Williams for his chance with the 1-on-1 with the keeper, that's literally just from a ball over the top, and he's peeled off the centre half, and he's coming in from neutral. It's amazing. Unreal.
I was watching 2 minutes before that, and seeing him sort of just keeping an eye on the defender, and you can see him just slowly inching away, and the defender's not giving him one bit of attention. So he creates that space, and he's always constantly thinking about sort of, you can see in his head he's thinking about the next phase, what's going to happen next, and then that's actually like why he scored the two-headed goals that he's from the Alex Mack across one against
Hartlepool.
Yeah. Again, you watch him. He's peeling off his defender. He's always got that split second sooner. And yeah, you're right. I mean, he could, I think, fit in the championship.
He nearly scores from it yesterday as well, where the ball comes over the top, and he's just peeled, and the defender don't realise he's there, and it just goes straight over the top of it. Yeah. To be fair, criticising him, he should score. He kicks it. He kicks the ground. It's a good save from the keeper, and I think the keeper's been praised more than he should have. I think when you watch it back, Nichols kicks the ground.
Yeah. I think it's worth, if you listen to his interview after the Swindon game, he says that he's been pulled more in, kind of to drop in a little bit more over the last couple of clubs he's been at. He hasn't been able to be that full-out number 10 striker, which obviously ultimately Harris said, if you come here, you will score goals. And you can't argue with what he's done so far.
He has done it. He's done it. Okay. We'll move on from the partnership then. One player that has not really been given limelight on this podcast is Robbie McKenzie. We managed to get him back after him not signing a new deal. Sort of last day of the window, wasn't it? I think it was.
One of the last days.
One of the last days of the window it was. But he's a solid as they come at this level, isn't he?
He's just Mr. Reliable. He rarely makes a mistake. I felt a bit sorry for him against Swindon, where he had some severe talent that was coming down that left flank, and he was under the cosh a bit. But yeah, I thought as well before the pre-Gallison era, when he was playing at CDM with Sean Williams or Short O'Keefe, one of them was injured, and he was pretty good in midfield as well. It was one of our better spells when we were still losing games, but still. But yeah, he just casually flies under the radar, does his job. And out of all of them out on the pitch at the minute, he is Mr. Reliable. He's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet.
Robbie is someone that I was very surprised ended up back here. I thought when he left he'd be getting an influx of at least League One offers, because obviously he played a bit in a championship for Hull, didn't he, not so long ago, and obviously he's someone who, as Luke said, is very reliable. He's someone who does go a bit unnoticed because he's a bit of one of those footballers that does what it says on the tin, if you like, and he's not that exuberant in what he does, but he does the simple stuff and makes it look easy, because it is. But he's just someone that, you can play him in a lot of different positions. He's very versatile. I remember he played a away game under Evans against Rochdale, didn't he, in attacking midfield, and he scored. And he's one of them where you can really put him anywhere and get a good shift out of him. And those players are very hard to come by because there's not many players in terms of versatility. I know we mentioned Hawkins can play centre back and striker, but in terms of can do a solid job all over the pitch. And Robbie certainly is one of those players. I think he's someone that we're very lucky to have back at the club, because I'm not entirely sure what happened to him over the summer. Maybe he had offers, but perhaps location-wise it didn't work for him and his family or something like that. But to have him come back here is obviously a massive boost to us as well. And especially given if we do have injuries, he's someone who can basically play anyway. We could have an injury to Glenn Morris, and I'm sure he'll go sticking between the sticks for the next Saturday. But yeah, he's one of those players that we're very lucky to have, and we can always be guaranteed to get a good shift out of him.
Okay. We're going to go to our next break now then. On Thursday, March the 23rd, Glenn Hoddle, the former England manager, is coming here to Priestfield. He's going to do a sportsman dinner inside the Great Hall on Thursday, March the 23rd. So here's what the Great Hall has to offer. We're back after our short break. Head over to the club website and purchase your Glenn Hoddle tickets for the sportsman dinner on Thursday, March the 23rd. Okay, we're going to move on to the January window as a whole. Then we've kind of covered it on our Twitter Spaces that we've all done as a four of us, but it'd be nice to sit here just us as a four this afternoon to round off what has been an extraordinary window. 10 new signings, pretty much a whole new team, but a whole new team full of quality and match winners fully in there. How would you sum up, Luke, the January window as a whole?
If you'd have said, it's all really good when you get a new owner and they're turning around and promising you X, Y, and Z, but it's different to having an owner that's actually going to deliver to what they say. So if you'd have said, kind of New Year's Eve, that as of the next 31 days, you're going to see 10 new faces in, of which 6 of them are first team. Well, 6 of them are first team quality players with a look to the future with Coleman and amongst others. You'd have been incredible. Yeah, we weren't expecting that, was we? I was expecting 5 or 6 to come through, but not into double figures. It's brilliant window.
Owen?
Yeah, it was what we were told. You know, Gallinson was very keen to say it was going to be an aggressive and lucrative transfer window. I think I'm more in the same sort of mind view as Luke. I didn't think it'd be 10. I thought we'd be looking at 4, 5, or 6 potentially, because January windows you're not really used to bringing in a whole influx of, more or less, if you look at it in just terms of numbers, it's a new starting 11, isn't it, bar one. But I think the manner of quality that we brought in is something that's been quite staggering to us, to be honest. If we go back to the game here against Mansfield where Hawkins played and Lapsley tore us apart, someone said to you, we'll sign both of them in a few months. You'd be like, what? Yeah. And to be able to have a vision within the club that can now appeal to those sort of players to want to come here. I know people from other clubs might look at it and think, well, they've got a new investor, they're coming here for the money. So it's not about that. It's about a sign of what this club can be, past glories potentially, how we can bring those back in these players. They hear that, they hear the sales pitch from Neil, and they want to come here. They have a reason to want to be involved. Lapsley's not even getting in the squad at the minute, which goes to show the improvement we've made. Well, not getting in start 11, I mean, rather. It goes to show the improvements we've made in terms of how a quality player like him can't quite get in at the minute. And we've seen with a lot of the players who have come in, just the instant impact they've made. 10 points out of 12, you can't really go wrong with that. And it's players that would get into the vast majority of teams up on the upper echelons of League 2, mostly League 1 as well. And it's a good signifier of, if you look at it in from the perspective of, well, this is what we've done in January. We've got a whole summer coming up as well. So, who knows what can happen there? But it's a sign of the Gallinsons putting the money where the mouth is, so to speak. Both figuratively and literally, and saying that we want these things to happen and we're going to make them happen. And we've seen that so far. The impact that the signings have had. Obviously, we've got 2 more in. The other day we saw, I think, half an hour of O'Brien or so, and just about 5 or so minutes and Tristan Abrahams, but both players who made a positive impact. And the look to the future as well is important. Obviously, with Coleman and Clark, players that I think, unless we're safe with a few games to go, I wouldn't expect to see too much of them this season. Obviously, if we are safe with a few games to go, that's the ideal moment where we'd like to see them get some minutes. Obviously, Coleman's a bit more further along in terms of general men's football experience, whereas Clark's not played a professional game yet. But how long ago, how many times have we seen us bring players in who aren't going to go straight into the team, but are there for the longer term project, and for us to nurture them and turn them into better players? It's just a sign that, from how we've gone from just, buying in, the basements and the bargain area, to having a structure of, Andy and Kenny, along with Brad and Shannon and Neil, all working together to make this machine work and make it move forward and make it an attractive proposition for the club, for players to come and join the club, which I don't think it really has been for a lot of players in the past.
Yeah, agreed. Too many times have we seen windows in the past that it's always been panic buys, and like you say, Owen, that more than often than not we end up buying players that are not right ready for that first team, but they end up playing, and they're just, they're well off it. It has been an incredible window, and like Luke says, Brad could have easily come in and gone, right, there's the money, go and buy you one. And also credit to Neil Harris as well, because you can have all the budget you want in the world, but you need to know how to use it.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done. It's been smart, shrewd business by the football club, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. There was, sort of almost a feel it was like a summer transfer window, wasn't it? Having 10 players come in, it's almost the feel like, the 1st of February is the first game of the season. It felt like a complete refresh, and I can't believe that in a month we've managed to get some top quality players that have come through. We've not broken the bank from the sounds of it. We've bought reasonably, but we've bought players that are going to give us that Gillingham fighting spirit, which is what we want as fans. My initial reaction, I always say out of 10, it's probably a 9 out of 10 for me. The only thing I think we were missing is just cover as another left back. But apart from that, I think we have had probably, I'll go on record to say this, definitely the best transfer window in Football League 2, but probably in all of the leagues. I think it's probably one of the best transfer windows a team can go through, because we've added so much quality to our team.
Yeah, completely agree. We'll move on to performances of January. We're obviously four unbeaten. We did lose the first game of January, but since then we've been 4 unbeaten. I know obviously yesterday, but the 3 other games in January we've not lost. It's been a near on perfect month, both on and off the pitch, isn't it, Luke? Yeah,
it's like I say, I think Brad and Shannon must be kind of thanking their lucky stars. It's obviously due to their investment and hard work. Like I say, we're bringing in, but you say we have signed 10 players, but the signings of Hess and Kenny Jackett were, they're 2 massive signings that we've forgotten about. We've never spoken about either. How good they are, especially with the Black Book. And I think obviously Scally's been asked to, he's obviously done quite a bit of work on kind of getting his Black Book out as well. Obviously he's still talking about. So they've all done extremely well, and we couldn't have asked for the last 4 games. Has been perfect, absolutely perfect.
I will say, actually, again, that is something else that I wanted to say earlier, that I've got to say a big shout out to Paul Scally, because obviously he is helping out behind the scenes as well. He has still got involvement in this club, but what he's doing, he's helping the club, and it's one thing that he's always said he wants to do. He wants to help the club move forward, and I've got to say big shout out to Paul Scally as well.
Yeah, I think in the past month the best thing that I could say is that we've seen differing performances from this Gillingham side, and finding different ways to win and to get results. Obviously the Hartlepool game, bar the period they had in the second half where they hit the post, we largely dominated that game, created chances, could have been more than 2. We scored 2 good goals. We got the win, professional performance. The game against Colchester was a lot more difficult because I don't think we were particularly great on the day. But I think, we had... It reminds me of quite a lot of games this season, where we've played, say, like Walsall at home, Swindon at home, where we've not looked too much in trouble in terms of conceding at one end, but we just didn't have anything up the other end to make the difference. Whereas at Colchester, we had really 2 chances the whole game. We took both of them, and then we were able to be resolute in the second half. They threw a lot at us, but we didn't really give them much in terms of, a clear-cut chance that they may have missed, and it was a backs-to-the-wall performance. Some people might say it's defensive, but you've got to find a way to win games, and that's what we did. It's good to see different sides of the Gillingham performance that show that there are more than one way that we can win games. Obviously, last week we did come unstuck in the Swindon game, but you've got to look at it in terms of, we could have easily, Gillingham team to the past, conceding that early on, we could have easily gone on and lost that 4 or 5-0, but we got ourselves back into the game immediately, took a 3-1 lead, and look, I know it happens a lot with us with 2-goal leads, but when you're playing against a team with the quality of someone like Hepburn Murphy in the wing, Johnny Williams in midfield, and Charlie Austin up front, it can happen. It did happen, and we didn't lose the game, but there's got to be some perspective in terms of just because you're 3-1 up, away from home against anyone doesn't give you the given right to see the game out. You've got to take into consideration the quality of the opponent, and Swindon in the second half did pepper us, and we just come unstuck, unfortunately, but we still went to a top 6 side and managed to get a point. We wouldn't have done that a few months ago. We've been turned over easily away from home by much lesser sides, like the inept performances we saw at Newport, for example, and you compare that to the performance against Swindon, it's night and day. And obviously yesterday, again, for the first half, we weren't particularly great. We were much better in the second half, and it was quite refreshing going into 5 minutes of injury time yesterday with a 1-0 advantage without really feeling as if we're going to concede, because we didn't limit them to many opportunities. And Glenn Morris in the second half, it goes to show how well the centre halves and midfield did. He didn't really, from my memory, have a save to make. So it's just a massive positive for me seeing this Gillingham side being able to get positive results through different performances, through attacking football and for a bit of grit and determination. That's what you need to be a successful side, for more than one way to win.
The confidence you can see from the players. I went to the Sutton away game, and obviously we lost that 2-1, and you could see the players' heads drop straight away. And against Swindon the other week, we conceded, in the first minute, none of their players' heads dropped. They were all straight back up. Now, come on, boys, we've got this. We're going to go on. And then, 2 minutes later, we're down the other end and we've got another goal. And then 2 minutes later, we've got another goal. And you could see that it was a completely different Gillingham team to what we saw, 20 games ago. It's a team that, yes, okay, we didn't walk away with 3 points, but I felt so proud of those boys because, say a few weeks ago, we would have got absolutely hammered there.
And I think it's obviously the main point of what Harry said, especially in the summer window. It's all about the type of character that he was bringing into the building, and you can tell, especially from obviously we've never seen the likes of Clark and Coleman as of yet, but the players that have come in and got into the starting 11, they are winners. They are people that have got a strong character, and they're the people that we are Gillingham players, as Neil said.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to do a couple of shout-outs now. If anyone saw on social media over the weekend, our good friend James Crockwell did a 14-hour walk from Tilbury to Wembley in aid of Bath syndrome. And when I spoke to him yesterday, he had raised just over £850. Bath syndrome is a charity, basically in aid of children that have sadly passed away due to an enlarged heart. And he said he's had quite a lot of friends of children that have passed away due to that. So well done, James. Great effort. Also, as you can see, we've all got ME7 podcast mugs in front of us. Matt is promoting it perfectly, just like a model, straight in front of the camera. These weren't on offer to buy. These are now on offer to buy. Thank you so much for the people that have purchased them so far. It's just simply a donation to Myeloma UK. A lot of it is a rare form of cancer. Sadly, my father passed away from it in 2021. So wanted to raise some money for that. These are the lovely mugs that we have now got on sale. If you'd like one, just give us a little message, and we'll get one for you. Let's move on to also another initiative. Our last topic that we're gonna cover this afternoon is Her Game 2. They've obviously done a wonderful initiative at the football club. Brad and Shannon have made it pretty obvious that they would like to bring women's football back into the football club. Paige and Mandy are obviously the Gillingham advocates with Glenn Morris and Jake Turner on board as well. I noticed Neil Harris was wearing the Her Game 2 badge. Matt, you are also wearing the Her Game 2 badge on the blazer this afternoon, so well done you. Luke, we'll start with you about the women's side of things at the football club. It's a fantastic initiative that Her Game 2 are bringing to the football club, but it's really important that the football club do get on board with it, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely, and it's not just kind of supporting, just bringing a women's team back into the fold. It's obviously supporting all the issues that they're trying to bring back in. It's obviously the safety and such forth of women in football and bringing that awareness. So it's great to see that we've got ambassadors actively promoting it throughout the club. Obviously, we see it at Swindon. Paige and Mandy are there with the flag and getting their exposure that way. But it's great to see that the owners are pushing it as well. And I hope to see some kind of events and stuff that they can do within that and get the wider Gillingham audience to understand what they're actually trying to achieve and hopefully bring a women's team back under the fold.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously due to financial reasons, the women's side did get scrapped during COVID, but Brad and Shannon did say in the fans forum that they were extremely keen on bringing it back to Priestfield and doing women's football for the community.
Yeah, obviously it ties into the whole community argument as well. We were saying yesterday about how many little girls would have come to their first game yesterday, and they were well and good watching the men perform, but I'm sure there's nothing better for them, watching, say, the women's Euros in the summer, seeing and finding new heroes to watch and think, I want to be like her. And that's the sort of thing you can get from having women inspirations at a football club, and you have that within a women's football team, and that's something that's perhaps been lacking here for a few years. I'm not entirely sure how it would work in terms of the club that they have at the minute. I don't think it's associated with Gillingham, is it? So I'm not sure what legal proceedings might go into that, but it's not for me to talk about because I'm not an expert in that sense. But it would be great to bring it back. The initiative has been an incredible success since it started from, I think her name was Kaz May, I think the Bristol Rovers supporter who did the video with loads of different women from different supporting clubs. The slideshow that came out, I think would have been a year and a bit ago at this point, and that caught fire almost instantly. And you only need to look at how many advocates there are for each team in the EFL. There's abundance of them. It's something that's become very popular very quickly, and rightly so. It says a lot as well when you're getting players from clubs and representatives from clubs wanting to jump on board with it as well. So credit to Jake and Glenn for that. Obviously Matt, who does Jules and Bud's part of it as well now, and I think there's a couple of the ladies who work here as executives. Forgive me for not knowing their names.
Daughter.
Yeah. I think there were two girls who were doing the
and Megan, isn't it, from the commercial team?
Yeah, they're at the forums, aren't they? So but even so, having so many people from the club involved now is obviously a massive positive. And we spoke to Mandy and Paige on the way to Swindon, and the aim for it is just simple. It's about equality and about bringing women's football on a pedestal that it deserves to be at. And obviously, as I said, the example of the women's Euros, how many little girls might have watched that game without really any interest in football at all, both men and women, and then watch that, seeing the women be so successful and think, I want to be like her. That's a new idol, and that's the sort of spirit it can create when you have something like that here. And hopefully, as I said, I'm not sure how it would work in bringing it back, given it's not connected to the club at the minute, but hopefully that's something that can happen. Obviously, Shannon is heavily involved. She's met Paige and Mandy at meetings, so it seems to be something that's going in the right direction. So hopefully we'll see a lot more positive news come out for that.
So we miss out on talent with a certain goal scorer from Bearsted as well.
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. Matt, obviously you got the badge on. Just how important is Her Game 2 to you?
It's really important. I mean, me and my wife, she's unfortunately she's not a massive football fan, but I'd love to be able to bring her to games. But normally, a couple of the games that we have been to together, there's not some nice shouting coming from the stands, and it's not always the nicest thing to hear. But to actually make more people aware of the fact that women are coming to games to enjoy football too. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. We're all there for the same thing, to enjoy the actual match that's taking place. And just because you're a different gender to somebody else doesn't mean that they don't know about football. Some of the smartest women that so smartest people I know, so women that know so much about football, it's unbelievable. It's really important that as well, say we talk about these young fans coming through, we don't want these young girls going, oh, it's just about boys kicking the leather around on the pitch. It's not about that. It's about the community, and at the end of the day, these women, that they've got their opinion, when it comes to football, they need to be heard, and that's ultimately what I think her game too is about. It's letting these women have their say.
Okay, that is where we will end the first ever Look Back Live show this afternoon. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining me. If you're interested in sponsoring the next ME7 podcast Look Back Live, just give us a little message, and we'll be interested in working with you. Thank you for watching the 10 points out the last 12. It's not a bad start to the Brad Gallinson era. That train just keeps running on. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.